Ms. Honorable, I am back. The time is now 10:38 a.m. I think we just hit the 4-hour mark. I do probably need to wrap this up at some point because my petition for review is due today based on the lies that Pepco told on the record and that the hearing officer rubber stamped. So, either I put that in myself because OEC isn't going to do it. They wrote one, but it's bad, and it tags my case again. But it's pretty funny. How many customers do you think have an Itron folder on their bookmarks? But we talked about this earlier. I want to bring it up again because it's the beginning of a video, and you got to fight for the people who can't fight for themselves. And again, this reading validation, all of my data from July 1st, 2023 through August 25th, 2025 is not validated, and unreliable data cannot support billing, load research, forecasting, planning, or asset analysis. Now, Pepco is shutting off a lot of people's power. I know that disconnects were up 20% in December. Not only is that based on unreliable data, which how can you turn people's power off if you can't justify what you're billing them with records, but also that lovely $123 million rate hike that you are trying to shove back through, like right now, in this request for an expedited hearing that you didn't give public notice yet on. Those numbers are based on forecasting, and those forecasts are based on unreliable data. I mean, I don't understand how you could be possibly doing this. Well, I do, because the commission's letting you. Ha. Isn't it fantastic when there's corrupt government? Okay, so then we're back to the Pepco's responses to the Office of People's Counsel's data request number 1, dated August 29th, 2025. I love this one because it says that when the interval billing method is used, the register readings are informational because they are not used to calculate the bill amount. And I just don't understand that, because if you're using your sum check, then they would match the total of the interval would be the difference between the meter readings. And if they were the same always, then why would they be informational? But it's really, really amazing how Pepco uses this language that is so gives you guys lots of wiggle room. Where if you fudge stuff, they're informational. They aren't used to calculate the bill amount. Except that you guys put my billing on register billing. And so, were they informational or were they not informational? The bills say they were informational. But, who knows what you're doing? Not going to tell me. So, okay. A lot of these you just sort of whiff and don't even try to answer. But, okay. So, this one is, this is interesting. So, now, I have noticed that what Pepco does say, it never says the relevant thing that I'm looking for, but there are tells. It's like playing poker with you. And why would Pepco bring up a time of use schedule? Now, I know from, I'll bet that was a data request that you have not updated, but let's see. Why do I not have formal investigation data requests? Is it this one? Or, no, I think it's actually the 2010, not the 2013. It's crazy. I know your data request responses better than your own attorneys. because they don't even know that they have to actually respond to them. There is a commission rule, by the way. It's a, here, let's see. Not that, you care about the commission rules. But if we go to 15.1, there is, let's see if we can find it this way. No. There's a continuing duty to update your data request responses. And, nope, up here. Conduct during proceedings, you're supposed to have duty of candor. That's fun. Signing and verification of pleadings, you don't do that. You don't file public versions. Information requests. Oh, here we go. Okay. So, information requests. Look, data requests shall be considered continuing in nature. Substantially revised information shall be provided without specific additional requests. So why exactly has Pepco not updated any of its data requests since the Exelon merger? It's a really good question. I mean, really, because the commission actually has a legal obligation to stay informed of Pepco's business affairs. And so if they're not asking you to update them and you're not doing you have a legal obligation here. The commission cannot just waive these rules. So what are you doing? I mean, I know you can get away with it because you are getting away with it, but it's harming the residents of the District of Columbia. And I gotta tell you that, as far as I can tell, everything about this Exelon merger has been horrible. Horrible. I mean, there's a 2015, in 2015, the commission had a hearing on how the GPC billing, the greedy power company billing, was handling things. And you had better customer service back then. Anyway. But I'm just a customer. So, okay, let's see what's in this one. Look at this. How are AMI net meters programmed? What quality control systems does the company have? This 906 program ID that you have on mine that reduced mine by a factor of 10 for the register readings when you programmed it for NEM. And then look at this. How many residential NEM customers are on the time of use rate? Now, back then it was none. I'd be curious to know how many are on there now, because this is the thing. Why are you talking about time of use schedule if it's not relevant here? And that is just very, very suspicious to me. Plus, then there's this question later that OPC added. Most of these questions came from stuff that I had provided and was lifted from, for example, my complaint that I wrote myself. And it's just curious why you would talk about that. But there's a great question about data quantification or something. We'll get there in a minute, that they ask. And so it's very, very interesting that why are we talking about these things if they're not relevant to how you are doing net metering, and in particular calculating excess generation credits, because I think you're still doing some really shady stuff, but of course you won't tell me. Okay, so when the interval billing method is used, a sum check routine is used to compare the summarized interval billing consumption to the difference in the meter reading register values. If this quality assurance check can be performed successfully, the invoice produced by the interval billing method is considered actual. If one or both, start and end register readings are not available to validate the interval billing consumption. The invoice is considered estimated, and a message is placed on the invoice to that effect. Now, that's pretty fascinating because my bills in June and July were estimated and had unavailable readings, which means that you did not pass your sum check routine. I mean, why are you pushing through bills if the sum check doesn't? I mean, that's ridiculous, okay? It's ridiculous. And, it gets even better. Where is that other document? Here's a great one. Now, when they did my revised billing, the billing department generated this report. So this is the original bill data, and this is the revised billing that was issued on 10/4/24. 2 days after I filed my complaint. Now, it's weird because look at this. All of these for excess gen say they're actual. And these are all actual. So the estimated was on the use side, not on the excess gen side. So I don't know why Mr. Adeyemo keeps saying that you were estimating excess gen and stuff, because that doesn't make sense. But here's the best part. Okay, so let's see. Let me move this over because I'll bet my face is in the way. Sorry. All right. Where did it go? Here you go. Okay. So get this. On September 24th, 24, look at this present meter reading on the use side, 3830. Now, when Nadia Joyce reran the billing, this issued on the 26th, when she updated the billing and turned off the register as not relevant for billing purposes, this 3830 went away and got replaced with 484. When they correct the factor of 10 issue, it turns into 4845, I think. So why did you add 1,015 kilowatt hours of use when you issued my September bill? Because this 84 is the same as this 84. And this is just an artifact that, when they ran this report, whatever it pulled from I'm assuming it was in IEE, and I asked about this specifically in those 17 questions that I posed that Pepco answered on January 22nd, 2025. And I asked about this very issue, and I think the answer was it was a typo. Because why would you tell me the truth? Yeah, typo. Likely story. Yeah, question 13. Why did the present meter reading on our September bill increase by 1,015 kilowatt hours between 9/26/24 and and the answer is the present meter reading was 44. The present meter reading was incorrectly referenced as 3830 on the billing comparison statement provided to the Commission on 10/22/24. A corrected billing comparison statement was provided to the Commission on January 22nd, 2025, when you guys gave me these answers, or gave them to Margaret Moskowitz, and she gave them to me. And then I asked the question, and then I asked the question a different way, which is why was it 3830 when the Pepco bill itself says 44. So this is just an artifact right here, right? So why would the bill say 484 if this is what is in the system when you issued this bill? And this present reading was incorrectly referenced on the billing comparison statement previously provided to the Commission on 10/22/24 as 3830. So I mean, and you want me to just trust you that you're not messing with my account anymore? I mean, I don't have to do that anyway, right? Because your tariff, your rate schedule for residential says that you have to read my watt hour meter to the nearest multiple of the meter constant, which is 10 watt hours. And you're not doing that. And that means your billing is fraudulent because you cannot charge more or less than established rates. And by taking the wrong reading, you are charging the wrong rates. I mean, your rate, say it's 50 cents or whatever, right? That number is not changing, but you're changing the kilowatt hours. And by doing that, you are changing the rate. And that's billing fraud. Straight up billing fraud. And I don't understand why nobody else seems to care that you're doing this. It's great. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. I mean, I care. I care a lot. And I'll bet other people will once this video series gets published on YouTube. Because look, I gotta do what I gotta do because nobody's gonna listen to me otherwise. You guys are gonna get away with it forever. The commission's gonna let you do it, and then you're gonna get pushed through another rate increase. Because that's what you do. Let's see which data request is this? Okay. Estimated readings, smart meter readings. How often does Pepco receive interval readings? Now it's weird because I know that mine has 15-minute intervals. I don't know that they're transmitted to Pepco every 15 minutes. I think they're transmitted once an hour, but here, this is great. At what point during the billing cycle would Pepco become aware that it is not receiving regular interval readings from a smart meter? If the company is unable to communicate with the meter for 72 hours, the data collection system will report that the meter is not responding. So, Mr. Adeyemo, how then could Pepco have possibly had months where you say that there was this communication issue? I mean, it's not true, right? Because you're lying about it. It's because Nadia Joyce disabled the intervals in SAP, the billing back office, right? So on 2 days after I filed my complaint with the commission on October 4th. I mean, this is more, right? Like when you realize it's not, I'm not going to read this whole answer. And look, it's funny because back then you actually had people who were the sponsors for things instead of just now everything's just the company. Because that way nobody is held accountable if anybody ever asks, oh, because the company did it. Let's see. Look at this. Oh, this is great. This is talking about the corrected bill window end date, which is 10 days following the bill prep night. And so if you recover during that period, you're going to cancel the bill and send an actual bill. Of course, you don't do that because you just sort of switch between interval and registers so that you can make the math work out for your ledger, balancing the ledger. Very important, profitability and all. Here, the process for a consumer to read a smart meter. Well, you don't take customer readings because if you did, you would have taken mine in June 2024, which was not a solar bill. The reading on my meter was 178, and you billed me for 1781, but then that also 1809. So who knows which number you're using, but wouldn't it just be a lot simpler if you read if you kept the meter display the same as the billing. I mean, then you couldn't cheat, right? If they were the same. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just the customer. I don't know. This is not the one that has the there's one that has the question about excess generation, and how much excess generation has been sent back to Pepco's grid without being credited to customers. And now I'll bet that is a fascinating number, because really, you tried to steal 1,000 kilowatt hours from me over those 2 months. And then another like 250 kilowatt hours in October. And you would have kept doing it if I hadn't kept fighting with no help from the commission. And I've done all this. I mean, look, who goes onto the docket and finds this stuff? Me. Which is funny, because if anybody is out there looking for data requests, you use the DR prefix, because that is how they get hidden from the main docket. So if this is the 945 investigation, instead of doing FC 945, you would do DR 945. Nice little tip and trick there for anybody who wants to inquire into Pepco's business activities. Although I've already done it for all of you. You're welcome, by the way. Okay, so this is, okay, we're back to these interval meter readings. All right, let's see. Now, oh, this is great. All right, so this says, look at this attachment A for estimations. And when Mr. Adeyemo brought this up at the September 5th, 2025 follow-up conference, I pointed out to him, first of all, this is like the estimation procedure. I believe it is for, oh, this is, yeah. So this is, it says majority of Delaware electric accounts are interval billed. This document pertains to register billed accounts only. So why, Mr. Adeyemo, did you give me a document that is for register billed when your bills all say that they're interval billed? I mean, you switch between the two, but still, this isn't even relevant, and you don't use this 3-day estimation procedure. You like force through, and this is from 2015, for God's sakes. You now use this validation, estimation, and editing, where if that's done correctly is okay, but you have weaponized it to overbill and fraudulently bill customers. Thank you again for that. Let's see. This is weird, because it says all available versions of my hourly interval usage data from May 2024 to present, including the superseded or overwritten data sets. Now here's what's weird, right? You gave me this, this is the alleged pulse data from November 17th at 2 p.m., the hour after you had that huge spike when you changed the display on my meter. And it's very just bizarre that you would somehow you would have data that goes back to that exact moment, but nothing before. So you either withheld the earlier stuff or you destroyed it. And I'll never know, because the hearing officer has issued an order dismissing my complaint. Thank you, Mr. Antonio. Very kind of you. He's really mean, by the way. Really mean. Very, very rude. He doesn't like me very much, but that's because I don't back down. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten all this information, right, if I had backed down. I mean, I had to write my, 20-page complaint with, total of 368 pages or something with the exhibits. My brief, which we haven't gotten into yet, which is fantastic, that I wrote, my husband edited it for me, to make sure that I did not go too deep into the details, because this stuff is hella technical. And it's really easy to get lost in that, especially back then, because back then I still didn't have any data. I didn't have this information. So I wrote this brief and had to sort of piece things together on my own. Okay, and then this is the SAP data here that I have in this spreadsheet. Now, there are a few other things on this spreadsheet that are very, very fascinating. So, okay, so here is all the October 4th rebills that Nadia Joyce did. This is the reversal of the meter readings. I believe that is because she needed to run the July 2024 revised bill in register mode. So she had to turn the register off, reverse the meter readings, and then regenerate the bills. So then here we go. This is weird. So okay, so here we get to November 15th. This is Friday. I know that because on November 17th is the day that they changed the reading on my meter. And now, mind you, nobody's telling me anything that's going on. Well, they just didn't talk to me at all. So my husband went out that afternoon on Sunday, and he came back and he said, the meter changed. And so I think for the next 3 days, had an alarm. Every hour, I would come out and take a picture. And then I'd compare the difference between those pictures to the interval data when it would post online later. And it's fascinating because so many times Mr. Adeyemo has made comments in pleadings indicating that I do not understand how net metering works. And it is, again, offensive because I know more about this stuff than he does. Or he's, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I don't know why what they were doing here. Very weird. There's this invoice trigger. Then these guys get scheduled here to run on the 18th. So I guess maybe she schedules them because she knows that the system's gonna get updated. My meter's gonna get updated. I don't know. I would ask her. I mean, I have the right to ask her, right? Because, let's see. If we go to fast case, okay? And here, let's see. 15, consumer rights and responsibilities. I mean, they don't enforce any of this anymore. So, it's actually funny because at the end of the September 5th follow-up conference, I got off the phone and I walked into the kitchen. I looked at my husband and I declared time of death on the Consumer Bill of Rights. I think it was 1:45 or something. Okay, so we get to formal hearing procedures and formal complaints. Formal hearing procedures. A formal hearing shall, if appropriate, be scheduled within 45 days of the filing of the complaint answer. PEPCO filed its answer on March 25th, 2025. And at the September 5th follow-up conference, Mr. Antonio announced that he would not hold a hearing. He didn't think one was necessary because all he cared about was the amount of solar credit I could prove that PEPCO owed me. He says that's the only thing he can consider, which is just so wrong. It helps that I spent all those years at the International Trade Commission and did tons of discovery and administrative law and patent litigations. So I know how this stuff is supposed to work. But how things are supposed to work and what the commission does are, it's awfully convenient for PEPCO and Exelon, isn't it? Okay, so here, this is great. If the formal complaint fails to state all the facts necessary to state a claim upon which relief may be granted, the hearing officer may order the complainant to amend the complaint or may dismiss the complaint. Now, I filed my complaint on February 21st, 2025, and it was certified by the Office of Consumer Services on the 24th, and on the 25th of February was when PEPCO was served. Now, Mr. Antonio has never addressed the allegations in my complaint. I mean, he said at the follow-up conference that he was not going to consider any of that stuff. It was not within the scope of what he could, what he was, the relief he just says, I can't do anything with these. We'll look at the language later. But it's crazy because, I mean, why would you have a formal hearing procedure? I mean, if this formal hearing is seriously limited to just the determination of how much solar credit I can prove that Pepco owes me, that would be in the rules. And it's not. So he's just making that up for Pepco's benefit. But, you know, he didn't even address this in his dismissal that he just issued. So why wouldn't they have told me that you know, if he, why would you wait a year? Why would you wait a year and put me through all of that if you were never going to actually address the issues raised in my complaint? Do you know how offensive that is? I mean, it's punitive because I try to exercise my rights. Public Service Commission, yeah. Pepco Service Commission. All right, so then, okay, I'm not requesting money damages. I can't even get money damages. But you know what? I understand administrative law. And guess what? If the commission would stop obstructing me, Pepco doesn't have a choice. They have to give me the documents. If the commission were doing its job, it would be getting documents from Pepco all the time. But, yeah. So, yeah. All right. So, notice the hearing. Blah, blah, blah. Fails to attend. Oh, here, look at this one. Upon a reasonable request from each other. Reasonable request. The parties shall. Shall. That means you have to. You can't say no. So I put in a reasonable request in, I think, June 19th, 2025. And Pepco ignored it. So, but I have a right. Look at this. I have a right to relevant documents, account data, files, and the names of witnesses. So, how is it possible that Pepco is refusing to give me that when they shall do it? Mr. Hadayama keeps saying, oh, we gave you everything we're relying on. It doesn't work that way, man. I mean, it does work that way because you get to do what you want, and only customers have to follow the rules. It is a fantastic system. All right, so, can represent myself. Oh, look at this. I shall have the right to present evidence, call witnesses, and present written and oral argument. I didn't get that one either. Because the hearing officer refuses to do his job because Pepco. And let's see. I can't even remember what I was going to look at this for, but you can see that none of the rules are being followed. Thank you all for wasting my time. Let's see. Let's go back now to, okay, so these, then they, right? Asking Nadia Joyce. I would ask her if they let me, but they won't because Pepco. And they don't have to because nobody's going to make them. Now here's really where it gets really fun. So remember they did that interval restart on the 19th. So these bills, they tried to run those through interval billing. But it's funny because they actually thought that the intervals were off by a factor of 10. So they forced all of the intervals to be reduced to match the falsified register reading that they set up on June 25th when they programmed my meter for net. And then when they ran that July bill and the numbers were off because the July bill had not had the interval restart applied to it. So that happened there. But look, so then they have to rerun the bills on the 21st. Now this they had to rerun um, with the register data because they couldn't use the intervals, right? Because remember they destroyed the intervals for July, right? So, like, I mean, that just wasn't going to ever happen. But this is what's fun. Look here, they remove a block. It was a contract billing block. Now here's the best part. See this 6/12/2023? That happens to be the day that I called Pepco from Texas, where we were living right before we came back to the Hill. And I established service starting on July 1st, 2023. I have the phone records to prove it. So for some reason, Pepco established they put on a billing block on my account. I assume that's because they have to do that, the time periods, because the way the billing system works is it has to use different periods of time to refer back to for estimations. So, the same billing period last year predicts what they're going to bill you for this year. So that's really fun. Let's see, what else happened on here? I don't know, changing the contract account. Now, right here, this correct and plausible read, 12/12/24, those two reads, that's when my meter test happened. Okay, so those got scheduled there to happen, and then they happened on the 26th. I don't know why they had an implausible read on the 19th. Who knows? This is, Pepco says that everything's perfect after this 12/12 date, which it's not. They do this weird create meter reading order on the 22nd. They changed my installation. Again, I'd love to ask Miss Joyce, but they're not gonna let me do that. And then, so this I think is when she added the 19,000 kilowatt hours to my account mistakenly, because it was probably 19,000 watt hours, but she entered 19,000 because the billing team doesn't realize that the meters are watt hour meters and everything they work with is in kilowatt hours. So they credited me with 19 megawatts. 19 megawatt hours instead of 19 kilowatt hours. And then on this 7/16 is when they rolled that back. And it's really interesting because right when she does this here, that is, I want to say that's like a Friday maybe. And then the Monday after that is when the hearing officer started bugging me for a follow-up conference. So I think everybody had this plan to give me this 19 kilowatt hours, and he was just gonna trash my case then, but I refused to fall for the trap. So that's why they didn't have the follow-up conference until September. Anyway, so they're still changing installations and all this stuff. I don't know who. I'm guessing somebody, Mr. Green, first initial N. I don't know what they're doing here. Of course, nobody will tell me. Okay, so that is this document here. It's funny because this is the one that has the usernames. Pepco actually gave me another version of this separately, but it does not have the usernames in it. So I didn't even realize I had this at first. Okay. Now this one, yeah, we don't care about that. All data downloaded. I think, this one is the attachment with the meter readings, all the not validated meter readings. 12. This is funny because it asks about the discrepancies for the May 2024 bill. And this answer doesn't even talk about May 2024. It talks about July 29th, 2024. This is again, that I called Pepco concerned that my bill did not reflect the generation she believed her system generated. That's not true at all. because that's not what that call was about. And it's not what I believe my system generated. My system generated 2.5 megawatt hours. I mean, I have the data. But, Okay. Oh, here. Let's see. This is one that I love because my question was different, and I think it said identify the interfaces, and this is the one where the commission, not the commissions, well, actually, the Office of the People's Counsel is an internal office of the Public Service Commission. I didn't know that until, I don't know, sometime recently, in the last, recent in an 18-month time perspective, of course. So, but it was a few months ago. I realized it while I was reviewing the statutes, because that's what I get to do on Saturday nights, because nobody's helping me with this. And I'm the only one not getting paid. And I'm not rich or anything. Just to be clear, my family is suffering as a result of this. But if I did not continue this, it would have been buried again. And who's going to find it again? I mean, you got to have the Rebecca brain, and I'm really good at spotting the patterns in the data. And also I get this hyper focus, and I want to solve the puzzle. And so, I just so happened that I did not go back to the big law firm when I came back and was starting my own practice. And so I had the flexibility to spend some time on this. And it's so crazy because, Aaron Ayler said they have 14 business days to respond. So that should have been October 22nd. And instead, the commission never made them respond. And I had to actually go to Margaret Moskowitz and escalate just to get the copies of the responses that PEPCO had submitted, and then finally force PEPCO to go to an informal hearing in January. The reason I did that is because Pamela Nelson at the Office of the People's Counsel and Aaron Ayler both told me, oh, it'll all be different when you get to the formal hearing stage, because then OPC will represent you. So here I am thinking, once I get to this informal hearing in January, I've done it, right? I'm going to have help now. Nope. I can't tell you how utterly disappointing it was at every turn that I was promised help with this complaint. Nobody would even talk to me. Nobody at OPC has ever actually sat down and listened to my case. They didn't. It was such of little importance. I do know that Stephen Marincek did meet with Lawrence Daniels back in, I want to say the end of January, maybe, of 25, the month before I filed my complaint. But nobody ever followed up. Now, so anyway, what is it, Cumberbatch? Jason Cumberbatch, I think, is their engineer. And so he changed, he just flagged my question and said it was loaded. Why would asking them to identify the communication interface provisions and so what if it's loaded? They didn't have to answer. So somebody, after he sent that comment, somebody at OPC changed this data request to identify if. And PEPCO still won't tell me if they can remotely interface with my inverters or anybody's inverters. I mean, their protocol on their website, that document says that they can. And I know, in 2018, there was a pilot program where they were connecting to inverters with people's knowledge, of course. So the technology exists, and they don't have my permission because there's not in my agreement. The interconnection agreement is supposed to have the inverter settings. My agreement, and it's the agreement everybody has because it hasn't been updated since 2019. Doesn't include these inverter settings. So how can you be interacting with my inverters without my permission. I mean, that's my private property. And if you're doing it without my consent, that's really not cool. And let's see. It's a good time to jump to, since we're talking about inverters. Here. So these are the nope. Here. So Pepco actually gave more responses to data requests to OPC on November 4th, 2025. I didn't get them until this week on the 16th because OPC and Pepco withheld them from me. Fantastic. With attorneys like that, man. Who needs enemies? But sure, they're representing my interests and not Pepco's. Okay, so here, what profile did Pepco require for the advanced inverters on my PV system? So they know that I've been asking about this, right? And I say that they don't use a combined agreement, and the interconnection on Pepco's website is 10 years old. And it's actually buried in the contractor section. And so they say it can be found here, but that's not hyperlinked. And then the attorneys tell me to, well, not me because they gave it to OPC and this was withheld from me, but not the attorneys will know why this information is not in the agreement. I mean, it's not in the agreement because Pepco is using a non-compliant agreement. That is not the Green Power Connection, the greedy power company team. No, this is your legal department, Pepco. So you are using an old contract because you don't want anybody to know about these inverters. That's my theory. Because if people knew, they'd be asking questions. And I guarantee you that you put them in the contracts for the people who, like the gentleman in FC 1050 who submitted public comments in November because his system was installed and he had paid for the upgrades, but you wouldn't actually do them. And you wouldn't even just let him go into a no export mode on the inverters. And so here's one of the craziest things to me is I didn't even know that was a possibility. So you interconnected me before I even knew it, the day my stuff got, and it wasn't even turned on, by the way. It was not turned on. My system was on inverters and not on the inverter-based CT, whatever it is, until October 20th. So I have a text from Enphase that I actually just found because I screenshot everything. And I forgot that I had it. And it says that on June 24th. Okay, June 24th is the day before you set up them. On June 24th, there was a software pushed to Enphase so that it was not turned on yet. Now, nobody will actually tell me what turned on means, but I'm going to guess it is turning on the quote-unquote metering equipment. And if the commission hadn't buried the regulation that it enacted that said that there has to be a display, I would have been able to tell that right away. And, you know, my system should have been turned on July 24th when the ATO issued. But for some reason, it got turned on October 20th. Why? I don't know. And nobody will tell me because it is all a black box. You guys are so sleazy. Okay. So, you know, you should update that agreement. And then this is the thing that people really need to know about. So there is this Volt VAR inverter control setting. It is, the primary intention is not to curtail export, but you know what? That's what you're doing with it because you have the voltage set point so high in my neighborhood. And it's crazy because you gave me that pulse data, and it includes the week that we had this snowstorm in January 2025 when my solar panels and everybody else's were buried under all that snow. So, the voltages were high then during the day. They're high at night. So, the primary intention. How would anybody know? How would anybody know? I mean, that's what the documentation says you're supposed to do. But everything's a black box with Pepco. You can't tell what they're doing. I mean, but sure, steal our solar energy, so you can adjust the amount of reactive power. And that the inverter's absorbing reactive power makes it's I can't explain it all. I mean, I've been up all night. I think I'm on hour, let's see. Oh God, I've gone another hour now. That's 5 hours I have been talking about this. But sure, I don't need a hearing on anything. Why would a hearing to establish what, Miss Levinson? Thanks, Mr. Antonio. Okay, so, here's the question. Why did Pepco approve my solar installation without the requisite inverter-based revenue-grade generation measurement equipment or revenue-grade generation meter? Now, that is required under the rules, but they, let's see. Well, here, I can tell you, because, of course, they have them. I have everything. That is the renewable energy portfolio standard rules. So, and here, this is funny. My old professor, Councilmember Che, she is expressing concerns about the pricing, and this is back in 2021, and how much extra money it's going to cost residents when they're installing solar to have this type of equipment. But guess what? They passed the regulation, and then now when they certified my system, the footnote cites the 2018 version of the rules. They see. Oh, here. I think so. I have the 2023 version, and it is in. Okay. I think it is in this. Behind a meter, revenue. Oh, look, revenue grade generation meter or inverter based revenue grade generation measurement equipment. So, if you go down all the way to the bottom of this, okay, see, this is 2903. So let's look at what 2903 is in the current version of the rules. Generator decertification. So they basically took this 2903 and for some reason overrode it with generator decertification. So that makes it really, really hard to know that the rule said this back in 2023. My system was installed in 2024. Now, then they changed that rule to creation and tracking of renewable energy credits, 2904. So why did you renumber these? I think they did it because Pepco couldn't steal and siphon solar energy if everybody had a meter they could read with a display. Because, that would be a lot harder for you to siphon off 1,000 kilowatt hours over 2 months like you did with my system. So, and then we go to so that's the revenue generation, revenue grade, there's a inverter-based, okay, inverter-based revenue grade generation measurement equipment. And it easily displays all collected data and retains lifetime production even in the event of a power outage. I don't have one of those. I didn't even know about these rules because everything's black box. But my solar installer submitted the plans to Pepco. Pepco approved them. So Pepco knows that's not part of my system. And then the commission approved this for registration with PJM on the GAT system. So by the commission's own regulations, I should not be able to mint SRECs without this display. And whoever updated my inverters or my like you can get the individual readings. So I have 40 panels, so there's 40 inverters, and that total is within 1 to 2% of this inverter-based revenue grade generation measurement equipment, which Enphase has, but it's internal, so there's no display on it, and there's no real way to know whether you have the inverter, like the revenue grade, which is these CT monitors that are in your box for Enphase, and they gave me SREC credits before that, and so Flood Exchange. I don't know how they get the information from my solar installer. There's so many questions I have, and nobody will explain it to me. But I should not have received. I shouldn't have minted any SRECs before October 20th. And then what's weird is the exact, like almost the exact numbers of. There's a weird overlap with Pepco's numbers on my bills with these estimated. Anyway, okay, so I don't know. Nobody will tell me anything about that either. So, but I do tell people, like, if I'm telling you something, I will tell you if I'm making an assumption or not, because I am honest. You know. All right. So we have this question about this here, but Pepco's answer is about its NEM. It's not even on point, of course. Why would it be? Oh, here, this is great. What does not validated mean on the Itron attachment? And this is the company's response. This is an initial designation from our system and means that the data has not yet gone to the billing system for invoicing. And that is just patently false. I mean, how can you guys just lie and lie and lie and lie and lie? That's fraud on the tribunal. You're lying a legal proceeding. You can't keep saying you can't do that. I say it at night, I'll be in my kitchen, cleaning up, doing dishes. You can't, they can't. But guess what, they can. They can. And I have even raised this with Ann Bancroft, who is the general counsel of Pepco Holdings. And she just, doesn't care. She said, well, Kuhnley's handling it, and he's working with OPC, and they're your lawyers. Even though I told her that they had sandbagged me and put in a brief that I had not agreed to, they came up with this weird proxy model because Pepco insisted that I had to come up with an alternate method of calculating my bills because it had estimated them. And so instead of it just coming out and reading my meter and getting the data from that, they just decided I had to outguess them. Which is insane because you can't have a preponderance of nothing. If there's no data, how can the hearing officer, I've gone through all of this, and the method to verify the accuracy of your bill is supposed to be in the pamphlet for consumers that Pepco is required to provide. It's not there though. Man, they can make anybody's bill say anything they want at any time. Anytime. So again, Reading validation is an essential component of meter data management. The goal is to achieve a high degree of confidence that meter data accurately reflects actual energy usage. This is in Itron, not in SAP. Unreliable data cannot support billing. So again, Pepco, you are lying. But yeah, sure, get my case thrown out. Oh, and I did try to file a new complaint with the Office of Consumer Services, and I was told, Margaret Moskowitz told me, I have the email, that anything that was adjudicated in my current complaint can't be raised, and that I have to put in a motion for reconsideration today. It's due today. Petition for review, that's what it's called. So, nice one, Pepco. Okay, so we know this isn't true. Let's see, look, why was the meter not transmitting consumption data? Consumption data, not excess generation. So I am very, very, very confused. And you see here, this great thing is June through September 2024 consumption data. Oh, looky here. It was transmitting consumption data. You just overrode it, Pepco. You ignored it and you inflated it. I am disgusted with you. And you're going to get away with it. Well, you would if I had not gone through all of this trouble and made these videos and created a website, rblresists.com, because I'm not putting up with it. Good luck stopping me. You can bury my complaint all day long, because guess what? My complaint is just to get you to open your books, because there's no relief, right? That's the only thing I get. Well, one, I get an accurate bill, but by publicizing this issue, you can't silence me, and there will be enough pressure, because when everybody finds out that you're cheating them, I think things are going to change. So, good luck, Miss Bancroft. You all disgust me. Okay. Did we talk about yet that that there's one of these documents that Kunle Adeyemo gets frustrated about expending resources? Oh, I have to be cognizant of the resources we spend on this issue. What do you even mean? You're the power company. It's such a burden. It's such a burden to have to bill accurately. Oh my gosh. Well, it feels good to say this stuff out loud. And I'm sure my husband appreciates it, because he has had to listen. Can you imagine how much time and effort I had to put into this? And I've done it all alone, right? So 18 months I've spent digging into this stuff, figuring it out, reverse engineering it from the scraps of data that Pepco provided while they didn't talk to me. And so it is nice to get it out there, but also it is nice to not have to spend all my time talking to my husband about it. And it'll be nice at some point when I get to have a life again. I mean, this every time OPC let me down, which was repeated, they didn't help with the complaint. I got ordered to file the brief. They didn't help with the brief. Then they told me that I can sit back and relax and enjoy the ride because they have everything under control in August. And don't worry, Ms. Levinson, we're going to write that brief for you, and we're going to take care of you, and you're being denied due process, and that brief that you wrote, that's going to be answered. And then what did they do? They sandbagged me in December, after requesting an extension of time so that it would ruin my Christmas. Because they knew that if they filed the brief in November, I would have been like, oh, no, right? And would have been able to react And so instead, they did it on December 12th. And I had to, I think I sent well, it's funny because December 23rd is my birthday. And my son got flu A. So I was still awake on the 23rd when he got up. And so I worked my entire birthday for 24 hours preparing this PowerPoint to Anne Bancroft to highlight the billing fraud that I had uncovered. I finished the PowerPoint on the 23rd late, and I think the email got sent at 12:30 or 1 a.m. on Christmas Eve. And then I got flu A myself that night. So it was a Merry Christmas. And then my husband got the flu the next day on his birthday, which is Christmas. I love being tortured by Pepco. It's fun. All right, let's see. So I think the inverters are talking. Pepco's talking to them, but I can't prove it because Pepco won't tell me. And the Office of the People's Counsel's engineer is like covering it up. It's so weird. And there's actually in the SC 1050 investigation, they are conducting all the proceedings off the record. And that's, illegal because under FOIA, there's information that has to be made public. And they're also doing rate making or rulemaking. And so they are actively working on changing the interconnection process, but depriving the public the right to participate. I asked Mr. Daniels at OPC if I could testify, especially because the commission, on the record, on February 4th, 2025, said they were going to investigate the issues that came up when my case was in the informal stage, and then they didn't. But I think he just ignored me. I asked in December, and he didn't like it when I refused to settle with Pepco after the follow-up conference. I have a recording of that call. That's great. It gets a little loud at the end. It's on my website too. So feel free to check that out. Okay, this one is just a crap answer that's not real. Okay, then here's let's look. Okay, so this is the interconnection application. And, I'm not going to flip through it, but there's the estimated commissioning date of 6/28/24, which is why when Pepco told me my system was on, and everything was set up for NEM, nobody mentioned that that I needed ATO or anything else. And I actually checked this because I'm a lawyer and I read the fine print. So I double checked and I thought, oh, okay, well, it's only on a couple days early, right? But no, they interconnected me before the electrical inspection. And then, okay, so then here's the NEM contract. Look, so billing. This says dollar value credit, full SOS rate for generation, then full retail rate for transmission and distribution service. This is May 2014. I told the commission on October 22nd, 2024, that this was the wrong contract. At the informal hearing, somebody was scribbling mightily fast when taking notes when I brought this part up, because I did point out that the commission rules say that they have to use a standard contract, and I requested a waiver so that I could be compensated at this rate. And of course, Mr. Antonio has just ignored that and nobody's ruled on it. But I would argue that it's Pepco who should be seeking the waiver because they're the electric utility and the rules require them to implement a contract that has those terms. Now they put this in their tariff because, that's what everybody reads. Well, I mean, I read it, right? But, okay, so here is the net energy metering rider, the NEM rider. And So this is competitive suppliers, but I have standard offer of service. And look at this. SOS rate for generation services. Wait. Oh, no, that's net inflow. At the end of the year, it will be compensated at the generation rate only. Check that out. So they're fraudulently inducing every single customer into entering a contract that they're not going to pay out like it says. Well, that's pretty crazy. Can't get away with that. But they do. Because nobody will enforce PEPCO's rules. And I mean, what am I going to do? Sue them in court? If I try and sue them in court, they're just going to argue that they're allowed to do it this way, right? And so it's actually an issue for the commission to decide, but the commission's never going to decide it because guess what? PEPCO makes more money this way. That's what everything's about. Increased profits. Okay. Oh, here's the one that OPC asked. And now this is really, really weird. It says detail the computational methodology used to calculate excess generation credits. Okay? Specifying the applicable compensation rates, time of export data used. That sounds like a time of use schedule to me. And reference data sources for export quantification. What are they quantifying? Why aren't they reading the amount of excess generation that so delivered is what PEPCO sends to you, and received is what they receive from customers. That's why they call it excess gen on the bills, because that's their clever way of, if they actually used received, then they would have to, use the received data instead of just calling it this excess gen that they are secretly calculating. And this answer doesn't even talk about it, right? This actually talks, oh, look at this. This is funny because this actually is this language from their tariff. So, what is even happening? Because that's not the answer to this question. But why did OPC ask this? Because, they wouldn't have just made this up, right? So it has to be a relevant question. So OPC knows something. They're not telling me. I'm their client, so why would they tell me, right? And with that, I need to take a break, man. I've been standing up. Wow, this one is an hour and 13 minutes. They put this up to hour 5. Oh my God. All right. I will be back shortly.